Kuan Yu abandons rank and wealth. As the last chapter closed, Yuan had been condemned to die. He spoke up, however, and said, "Pray hear one word, illustrious sir, before you decide. I have lost sight of my brother since my misfortune at Suchu, and know not whether Yun Chang be dead or alive. There are many men in the world who resemble him. Is every red-faced man with a beard named Kuan? Should you not rather seek some evidence?" Now Yuan Shao was impulsive and facile by nature, and when Yuan spoke thus, he suddenly turned upon Chu Shu, saying, "By wrongly regarding what you said, I nearly killed an innocent man." Then he requested Yuan once more to resume his seat in the tent, and advise him how to avenge Yin Liang. Soon from the lower end a voice was heard, saying, "Yin Liang and I were as brothers, and can I allow any other to avenge his death?" The speaker was a man of middle height with a face like a unicorn, a famous leader from Hopai, named Yuan Shu. Yuan Shao was pleased and said, "You are the only man who can do it. I will give you 10 legions and you can cross the Yellow River and quickly smite that rebel Tsao." "You cannot do it. He will fail," said Chu Shu. "The proper course is to hold Yenqing and detach a force to Quantu. If you rashly cross the river and anything goes wrong, not a soul will return." Yuan Shao said, "That is always the way with you fellows, always delaying and taking the dash out of the soldiers. You put off today and postpone tomorrow till success has become impossible. Do you forget that promptitude is what the soldier honors?" The advisor withdrew sadly, saying, "Superiors do not curb their ambitions. Inferiors must strive to render service. Eternal is the Yellow River, shall I cross it?" Thereafter he feigned illness and went no more to the council. Yuan said, "I have received much kindness at your hands and have been unable to show my gratitude. I would accompany General Yuan that I may repay your bounty, and also that I may hear news of my brother." Yuan Shao gladly consented and ordered Yuan Shu to share his command with Yuan. But the former objected, saying that Yuan had been so often defeated that it would augur ill for success this time. He proposed to give Yuan command of the rear guard, and this being approved, 3 legions were told off under Liu Pei's special command to follow the main body. The prowess displayed by Kuan Yu in the bold attack on Yin Liang redoubled Tsao's respect for him, and he memorialized the throne that Kuan Yu received the title of Marquis of Handshouting, and a seal was cast for him. Just then came the unexpected news that Yuan Shao's army had moved toward the Yellow River and was in position above Yenqing. Tsao first sent to transfer the inhabitants to Ho, and then led out an army to oppose Yuan Shao. He issued an order to face about, thus placing the rear companies in front. The commissariat wagons were also placed in the van. "What is this reversal for?" asked Lu Xiaqin. Tsao replied, "When the supplies are in rear they are liable to be plundered, so I have put them first. But if you meet the enemy and they steal them, wait till the enemy appears. I shall know what to do." Lu Xiaqin was much exercised at this new move of the ministers. In the meantime, the supply train moved along the river toward Yenqing. Presently, the foremost troops raised a great shout, and Tsao sent to see what it meant. The messenger came back to say Yuan Shu's army was approaching, and the supply train had been abandoned and was at the mercy of the enemy. Thereupon Tsao pointed to 2 mounds, saying, "We will take refuge here for the present." All those near him hastened to the mounds. Their Tsao ordered them all to loosen their dress, lay aside their breastplates, and rest a time. The horsemen turned their steeds loose. Yuan Shu's men approached under cover. As they drew near one after another, the officers told Tsao, saying, "The rebels are near. We ought to catch the horses and go back to Pema." But the advisor, Sun Yu, checked them, saying, "These are a bait for the enemy. Why retire? Shao glanced across at him and said, "He understands, do not say anything." Now having got possession of the supply carts, the enemy next came to seize the horses. By this time they had all broken ranks and were scattered, each man going his own way. Then suddenly Shao gave the order to go down from the mounds and smite them. The surprise was complete. Yuan Chu's army was in confusion, and Shao's men surrounded them. Yuan Chu made a stand, but those about him trampled each other down, and he could do nothing but flee. And he fled. Then standing on the top of a mound, Shao pointed to the flying leader, calling out, "There is one of the most famous captains of the north. Who can capture him?" Chang Liu and Su Huang both mounted and dashed after him, crying, "Yuan Chu, do not run away." Looking round, the fugitive saw two pursuers, and then he set aside his spear, took his bow and adjusted an arrow, which he shot at Chang Liu. "Cease shooting, you rebel!" shouted Su Huang. Chang Liu ducked his head and the shaft went harmlessly by, save that it carried away the tassel of his cap. He only pressed harder in pursuit. The next arrow, however, struck his horse in the head, and the animal stumbled and fell, throwing his rider to the earth. Then Yuan Chu turned to come back. Su Huang, whirling his battle axe, stood in his way to stop him. But he saw behind Yuan several more horsemen coming to help him, and as they would have been too many for him, he fled. Yuan pursued along the river bank. Suddenly he saw coming toward him, with banners fluttering in the breeze, a small party of horse, and the leader carried a great sword. "Stop!" cried Yuan Chang, for it was he, and he attacked at once. At the third bout, Yuan Chu's heart failed him, and he wheeled and fled, following the windings of the river. But Kuan Yu's steed was fast and soon caught up. One blow, and the hapless Yuan Chu fell. When Shao saw from the mound that the leader of the enemy had fallen, he gave the signal for a general onset, and many of the Northmen were driven into the river. And the carts with supplies and all the horses were quickly recovered. Now Kuan Yu, at the head of a few horsemen, was thrusting here and striking there at the moment when Yuan, with the 3 reserve legions, appeared on the battlefield. At once they told him that the red-faced, long-bearded warrior was there, and had slain Yuan Chu. He hastily pressed forward to try to get a look at the warrior. He saw across the river a large body of horse, and the banners bore the words, "Kuan Yuan Chang, Marquis of Handshouting." "Then it is my brother, and he is really with Shao, said Yuan, secretly thanking God that he was safe. He made an attempt to wait about till he could call to Kuan Yu, but a great mass of Shao's soldiers came rushing down, and he was forced to retire. Yuan Shao, bringing reinforcements, reached Quantu and built a stockade. 2 advisors went in to see him and said, "Again that fellow Kuan has been in the battle. He killed Yuan Chu. Liu Pei pretends ignorance of him." Their master was angry and railed at Pei. "The long-eared rebel, how dare he do such a thing?" Soon Yuan appeared. Again Shao ordered him out to instant execution. "What crime have I committed?" asked Yuan. "You sent your brother to slay one of my generals. Is that no crime? Pray let me explain before I die. Shao hated me and has always done so. Now he has found out where I am and, fearing that I may help you, has got my brother to destroy your 2 generals, feeling sure that when you heard of it you would be angry and put me to death. You cannot fail to see this." "What he says is sense," said Shao, "and you too nearly brought on me the reproach of injuring the good." He ordered his attendants to retire and asked Yuan to come and sit by him. Yuan came, saying, "I am deeply thankful, illustrious sir, for your great kindness, for which I can never be sufficiently grateful. Now I desire to send some confidential messenger with a secret letter to my brother to tell him where I am, and I am sure he will come without a moment's delay. He will help you to destroy TSO to make up for having destroyed your 2 officers. Do you approve of this? If I got Yun Chang, he would be 10 times better than the 2 men I have lost, replied Shao. So Yuan Ter prepared a letter, but there was no one to take it. Yuan Shao ordered the army to withdraw to Wuyang, where they made a large camp. For some time nothing was done. Then TSO sent Xiahutun to defend the strategical point at Quantu, while he led the bulk of the army back to the capital. There he gave many banquets in honor of the services of Kuan Yu, and then he told Lu Xiaoqin that putting the supplies in the front of the army had been meant as a bait to draw the enemy to destruction. Only Sun Yu understood that, said he in conclusion. Everyone present praised his ingenuity. Even while the banquet was proceeding, there arrived news of a rising of yellow turban rebels at Junan. They were very strong, and Tsao Hung had been defeated in several engagements. Now he begged for help. Kuan Yu, hearing this, said, I should like to have the opportunity of performing some service by destroying these rebels. You have already rendered noble services for which you have not been properly requited. I could hardly trouble you again, said Tsao. I have been idle too long. I shall get ill, said Kuan Yu. Tsao encouraged him to go and gave him 5 legions with Yu Qin and Yo Qin as captains under him. They were to leave soon. Then Sun Yu said privily to his master, he always cherishes the idea of returning to Liu Pei. He will leave you if he hears any news. Do not let him go on this expedition. If he does well this time, I will not let him go into battle again, said Tsao. In due time, the force led by Kuan Yu drew near the rebels and made their camp. One night, just outside his camp, 2 spies were caught and taken into Kuan, who, in one of them, recognized Sun Xiaoqin. The attendants being dismissed, Kuan Yu questioned him. After we lost sight of each other, I have heard not a word of you. What are you doing here? After I escaped, I drifted hither and thither till I had the good fortune to reach Junan, and Liu Pi took me in. But why are you with Tsao, General? And where are your sisters-in-law? Are they well? Kuan Yu told him all that had happened. I have heard lately that Liu Pei is with Yuan Shao. I would have liked to go and join him, but I have not found a convenient opportunity. Now the 2 men I am with have taken the side of Yuan Shao against Tsao. By good luck you were coming here, so I got command of a small party of scouts to be able to see you and tell you. Presently our 2 leaders will pretend to be defeated, and you and the 2 ladies can go over to Yuan Shao, and you will see your brother. Since he is there, I certainly must go at once to see him. But it is a misfortune that I have slain 2 of Yuan Shao's generals. I fear things are not in my favor, said Kuan. Let me go first and see how the land lies. I will come back and tell you. I would risk a myriad deaths to see my brother, said Kuan Yu. But I must go to say farewell to Tsao. Sun Xiaoqin was sent away that night, and next day Kuan Yu led out his men to offer battle. Kung Tu, in armor, went out to the front of the line of battle, and Kuan Yu said, You people, why have you risen against the government? Why do you blame us when you have turned your back on your own lord? Replied Kung Tu, How have I turned my back on my lord? Liu Yuan Ter is with Yuan Parent Chu, and you are with Tsao. What is that? Kuan Yu could not reply, but he whirled round his sword and rode forward. 2 fled, and Kuan Yu followed. 2 turned and said to Kuan Yu, I cannot forget my old chief's kindness. Now attack as soon as you can, and I will give up the defenses. Kuan Yu understood and urged on his men. The leaders of the rebels pretended they were worsted, and they all scattered. So the city was taken. Having pacified the people, Kuan Yu quickly led his army back to the capital, where he was met by Tsao, congratulated on his success, and feasted. When this was all over, Kuan Yu went to the dwelling of his sisters-in-law to pay his respects at their gate. "Have you been able to get any news of Uncle Liu in your 2 expeditions?" asked the Lady Can. "None," replied Kuan Yu. As he retired from the door, he heard sounds of bitter weeping within. "Alas, he is dead," said they. "Our brother-in-law thinks we shall be greatly distressed and hides the truth from us." One of the old soldiers who acted as guard, hearing the sounds of perpetual grief, took pity on them and said, "Do not weep, ladies. Your lord is with Yuan Shao in Hopai." "How do you know that?" said they. "I went out with General Kuan, and one of the soldiers told me." The 2 ladies summoned Kuan Yu and reproached him, saying, "Uncle Liu never betrayed you, and yet you remain here enjoying the bounty of Tsao and forgetting the old times. And you tell us falsehoods." Kuan Yu bowed his head. "My brother really is in Hopai, but I dared not tell you lest it should become known. Something must be done, but done carefully, and it needs time." "Brother-in-law, you should hasten," said the Lady Can. Kuan Yu withdrew, feeling that he must evolve some scheme of departure without further loss of time. It caused him much uneasiness. Yu Qin, having found out that Liu Pei was in the north, told Tsao, who at once sent Chang Liu to find out Kuan Yu's intentions. Chang Liu entered jauntily and congratulated Kuan, saying, "They tell me you obtained news of your brother in the battlefield. I felicitate you." "My lord was there indeed, but I met him not. I see nothing to be glad about." "Is there any difference between the relationship of you 2 and that of any other 2 brothers?" Kuan replied, "You and I stand in the relationship of friends. Yuan Ter and I are friends and brothers beside, and prince and minister in addition to both. Our relationship cannot be discussed in usual terms." "Well, now that you know where your brother is, are you going to him?" "How can I go back on what I said before? I am sure you will explain fully to the minister." Chang Liu went back and told his master, who said, "I must find a way to keep him here." While Kuan Yu was pondering over his difficulties, they told him that a friend had come to inquire for him. The visitor was introduced, but Kuan did not recognize him. "Who are you?" asked Kuan. "I am Chern of Nanyang, in the service of Yuan Shao." In great perturbation, Kuan Yu sent away the attendants, and they being gone, said, "There is some special reason for your visit." For reply, the newcomer drew out a letter and handed it to his host, who recognized that it was from his brother Yuan Ter. "I, the writer, and you, sir, pledged ourselves in the peach garden to die together. Why then are we apart and yet alive, our kindly feelings destroyed, our sense of right outraged? Surely you desire to obtain fame and acquire riches and honor by offering my head as a crowning act of merit. More might be said, but I await your commands with great anxiety." Kuan Yu finished the letter with a bitter cry. "I always wanted to find my brother, but I did not know where he was. How can he think such evil of me?" said he. "Yuan Ter looks for you very eagerly, and if you are still bound by the old pledge, you should go quickly," said the messenger. "Anyone born into the world without the one essential virtue of sincerity is no true man. I came here openly and can go in no other way. Now will I write a letter which I will ask you to bear to my brother, that as soon as I can take leave of Tsao, I will bring the ladies and come to him." "But what if Tsao refuse to let you go?" said Chern. "Then would I rather die. I will not remain here." "Then, sir, quickly write your letter and relieve your brother from his anxiety." So Kuan Yu wrote like this: "I, the humble one, know full well that a man of principle does not betray, and a man of loyalty despises death. I have been a student in my youth and know somewhat of the proprieties. I sigh and weep at the memory of the fraternal affection that made Yang Xiaoai and So Po Tiao die rather than separate. I was in charge of H. Siapi, but the place lacked provision, and there was no help. I would have fought to the death, but there was on my shoulders the responsibility for my sisters-in-law. Wherefore I had to take care of my body lest I betrayed my trust. And so I made a prisoner of myself, hoping to find a way of release. I heard of you lately in Junin. I must, however, bid farewell to Tsao and bring the ladies with me when I come. May I perish, victim to the superhuman powers, if I have harbored any traitorous thought. Pencil and paper are poor substitutes for what I would say, but I look to see you soon. The visitor left with this missive, and Kuan Yu went to tell the women. Then he proceeded to the minister's palace to say farewell. But Tsao knew what he was coming for, and he found at the gate the board intimating that no one could be received. So he had to return. However, he bade his own few soldiers prepare to start at any moment. He also gave orders that everything received from Tsao was to be left in the quarters. Nothing was to be taken. Next day he again proceeded to the palace to say farewell to his patron, but again found the board hanging there to show there was no admission. So it was several times. He could never enter. Then he went to see Chang Liu, but he was indisposed. This means he will not let me go, thought Kuan Yu. But I am going, and I shall hesitate no longer. So he wrote this letter. As a young man I entered the service of the imperial uncle and pledged myself to share his fortunes. Heaven and earth witnessed this oath. When I lost the city, I made 3 requests which you granted. Now I hear my brother is with you and Shao, and I, remembering our pledge, cannot but go to him. Though your bounty is great, I forget not the bond of the past. Wherefore I write this letter of farewell, trusting that, when you have read it, you will be content for me to postpone to another season the proof of my gratitude. He sealed and sent it to the palace. Then he deposited in the treasury of his dwelling all the gold and silver he had received, suspended his seal of marquis in the reception hall, and left, taking his sisters-in-law with him in a carriage. He rode Red Hare and carried Black Dragon in his hand. With a small escort of men, those formerly under his command, he left the city by the north gate. The wardens would have stopped him, but he frightened them with a fierce shout. Having got out, he told the escort to go in front with the carriage, while he would remain behind to guard against pursuit. So they pushed the carriage toward the high road. In the city, Kuan Yu's letter reached the minister while he was consulting about what to do. He read it and exclaimed, "So he has left." Then the warden of the gate came to report that Kuan Yu had forced his way out, and was gone with a carriage, a horse, and a score of guards. Next came the servants from his house to report that he had left, taking nothing of the treasure, nor any one of the waiting maids. Everything was left in the house. Even his seal was there. His only escort were the few men of his original force. Suddenly from the assembly of men rose a voice saying, "With 3 companies of mailed horse I will bring him back alive." Their eyes turned to the speaker, who was General Tsai. On the dragon's cave he turns his back, but numberless wolves infest his track. What came of this offer to pursue will be seen in the next chapter.